A mining company claimed to have discovered a massive gold resource deep in the Indonesian jungle, sparking a rush to invest in the company. However, as a new podcast series uncovers, not everything that glittered was gold, and worries remain concerning the strange death of the company's senior geologist. So let's get into it. On the morning of March 19, 1997, Michael de Guzman, head geologist for Canadian mining corporation billionaires Minerals, took a helicopter journey to a remote jungle location in Indonesia. He had made the voyage several times before, to a location where he had claimed to have found massive gold deposits. This time, however, de Guzman did not arrive. 20 minutes into the journey, a rear door on the helicopter's left side opened, and de Guzman fell to his death into the dense jungle below. The CEO of the mining firm revealed that de Guzman had committed suicide after being diagnosed with hepatitis B and being exhausted from treating recurring malaria. 10 years later, the Calgary Herald assigned Canadian journalist Suzanne Wilton to investigate de Guzman's death. "I was sent halfway around the world. This story has haunted me ever since," she claims. Now she's back on the case with a new audio series that delves deeper into what happened before the deadly helicopter ride. De Guzman was born in the Philippines on Valentine's Day in 1956. He was often in love, so this was an appropriate birthday. He had 3, possibly 4 spouses at the same time, in various nations. De Guzman was an experienced geologist who enjoyed karaoke, drinking, strip clubs, and wearing gold. He believed he could earn a fortune in Indonesia. According to Wilton, in the 1990s, the country was viewed as a gold prospector's paradise due to its abundant natural mineral resources. One Dutchman, John Velderhof, regarded as the Indiana Jones of geologists, claimed that a distant site near Busang, in the province of East Kalimantan, on the island of Borneo, was a gold mine waiting to be discovered, but he needed capital to move forward. Velderhof signed an agreement with David Walsh, the CEO of billionaires Minerals, in April 1993. Walsh was trying to convince possible investors of the idea of a land buried with wealth. Controlling operations on the ground, Velderhof made it apparent that he wanted de Guzman, a friend and fellow geologist, to assist with the search. However, Velderhof, de Guzman and other team members only had until December 18, 1993, to drill test holes to determine whether the gold was indeed present. That was when the Indonesian government's exploration license they had received expired. With only a few days till the last deadline and 2 holes excavated, there was still no trace of gold. According to Wilton, de Guzman then abruptly informed Walsh that he knew exactly where they needed to drill since he had seen the place in a dream. The crew dug a 3rd hole exactly where de Guzman had indicated and hit gold. A 4th hole offered the possibility of an even larger find, the $6 billion gold scam. It was the largest gold mine swindle in history, devastating many lives. But what exactly happened? Work at the site proceeded for 3 years. The number of investors rose in line with estimates of the amount of gold available. billionaires Minerals shares skyrocketed from 20 cents to 280 Canadian dollars. The corporation was finally valued at 6 billion Canadian dollars. Many people in Canadian small towns participated in the gold rush, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars of their money. However, the shine began to fade with time. In early 1997, Indonesia's then president, Suharto, decided that a small firm like billionaires Minerals could no longer hold the land and reap its benefits. It needed to be shared with the Indonesian government and supported by a larger, more experienced mining firm. As a result, an agreement was reached with the US company Freeport-McMoRan. Before committing to take on all of the financial risks connected with precious metals mining, Freeport-McMoRan needs to conduct its own checks. Its geologists were assigned to drill twin holes in the Busang deposit. Twinning is a method of double-checking the presence of gold by drilling near the finding site and collecting rock samples. This was typical mining practice, although billionaires Minerals had not yet followed it. The twinning samples were sent to 2 other labs, but the results were the same. No gold could be identified. What does this refer to for those who have invested their savings? Freeport-McMoRan contacted Walsh and Velderhof about the new facts. They directed de Guzman, who was attending a convention in Toronto, to return to Busan to meet with the Freeport-McMoRan team and explain. De Guzman flew from Canada to Singapore, where he spent time with his wife Jeannie, with whom he had a son and a daughter. Jennifer Wells, another Canadian journalist, has successfully pieced together his final hours. According to her, de Guzman spent his last evening with Bray X Minerals employee Rudy Vega in Balikpapan, which is more than 100 miles south of the Busang Mina. Vega was a member of the company's Filipino exploration team and was scheduled to fly with de Guzman to meet Freeport-McMoRan. According to an account Vega later provided to Indonesian authorities, the two of them proceeded to a karaoke bar. After returning to his hotel room, de Guzman attempted suicide, according to Vega. The next morning, de Guzman and Vega flew by helicopter to Samarinda, a city closer to Busang. De Guzman then reboarded the helicopter to head to the mine, but Vega wasn't with him. De Guzman was accompanied by two guys on the flight, a maintenance technician and a pilot. But the pilot was an Indonesian Air Force pilot, not the regular one that flew to the Busang mine. The stopover in Samarinda was also unusual. Normally, de Guzman would fly directly from Balikpapan to Busang. After making an initial comment at the time, the pilot has rarely spoken about the trip. However, Wilton claims he had no involvement in what occurred to de Guzman and did not witness what occurred. On March 19, 1997, at 10:30 local time, de Guzman died. Handwritten suicide notes were discovered in the helicopter, and a body was discovered 4 days later in the dense jungle. 6 weeks after de Guzman's death, the Busang gold dream had ended for everyone, leaving investors in sorrow. Bray X Minerals' $6 billion Canadian valuation had been dropped to nothing. There was absolutely no gold at the Busang site, according to an independent investigation. Rock samples from 1995 to 1997 were analysed and discovered to have been tampered with, using a method known as salting. To fake the results, fragments of gold from another source were dispersed among rock samples using a salt shaker. Almost 30 years later, no one has been held responsible for the scam. Walsh claimed he knew nothing about it and died of a stroke in 1998. In 2007, a Canadian judge determined that Velderhof was unaware of the fraud and so not guilty of insider trading. The Dutch geologist died in 2019. This brings us back to de Guzman. Had he taken his own life to avoid having to admit that he was the mastermind behind the fraud? What are your thoughts? Make sure you comment your thoughts in the comments section below.